Welcome to Evermore Love. Hey there, beautiful souls. If you're new here, welcome to Evermore Love, your cozy corner for heart-fluttering tales that remind us why love is the greatest adventure of all. Today, we're diving into a story that's going to wrap around your heart like a warm embrace. The lover who wants to marry. Picture this, a love so fierce, it battles storms and silences, all for one perfect yes. Grab your favorite cozy spot, maybe a cup of tea, and settle in because this one's a full journey. We're talking deep emotions, stolen kisses in the rain, and moments that'll have you reaching for tissues. And hey, if we hit that magical 1K subscriber milestone together today, imagine the love stories we'll unlock next. Your likes, shares, and that sweet subscribe button mean the world. Hit play, watch till the end, and let's fall in love with love. Ready? Let's begin. In the quaint coastal town of Willow Bay, where the sea whispered secrets to the shore and the salt-kissed air carried dreams on every breeze, lived Elias Hart. He was a man whose heart beat like the relentless tide, steady, unyielding, and utterly devoted. At 32, Elias ran a small bookstore called Pages of the Heart, a haven crammed with dog-eared romances and forgotten poetry. His dark hair fell in soft waves over hazel eyes that sparkled like sun-dappled waves, and his smile, oh, it could disarm the weariest soul. But beneath that easy charm lay a quiet ache, one that had deepened over the past 3 years with a woman who owned every corner of his world, Lila Voss. Lila was a force of nature, a 29-year-old marine biologist whose laughter echoed like seabirds and whose touch felt like the first warm ray after a storm. With her sun-freckled skin, wild auburn curls that danced in the wind, and eyes the color of stormy oceans, she moved through life like she was part of the tide itself, fierce, free, and a little untamed. They had met 3 summers ago at the annual Willow Bay Festival, where the air hummed with fiddle music and the scent of fresh-baked scones. Elias had been manning his bookstore booth, recommending Pride and Prejudice to a cluster of wide-eyed teens, when Lila wandered over, her flip-flops slapping against the wooden planks, a half-eaten caramel apple in hand. "Got anything about sirens?" she'd asked, her voice a playful lilt that made his pulse stutter. You know, the kind that lure sailors to their doom but really just want someone to listen to their songs? He'd laughed, handing her a worn copy of The Little Mermaid with a flourish. "This one's got heartbreak and hope in equal measure. But if you're the siren, I might just volunteer to listen." That night, under a canopy of stars that seemed to wink at their budding spark, they danced barefoot on the beach. Her head on his shoulder, his hand tracing lazy circles on her back, Elias felt it, the kind of love that poets chase but rarely catch. Weeks turned to months, and their rhythm wove itself into the fabric of Willow Bay. Lazy Sundays tangled in his sheets, her reading research papers aloud while he sketched her portrait in the margins of old novels. Picnics on the cliffs where he'd feed her wild strawberries, and she'd trace the constellations on his palm, whispering, "See that one? It's ours, Elias and Lila's eternal flame." But love, as Elias would learn, wasn't just starlight and whispers. It was the shadow that crept in when the moon hid. Lila's world was vast, her career a siren call of its own. Grants pulled her to research expeditions off the coast of Iceland, then the coral reefs of Belize. She'd return with salt-crusted boots and stories that made his bookstore feel too small, her eyes alight with the thrill of discovery. "The ocean's endless, Elias," she'd say, curled against him on his worn leather couch, the fire crackling like a jealous lover. "It doesn't wait for anyone. What if I get stuck in one place?" He'd pull her closer, kissing the worry lines between her brows. "Then I'll be your anchor, or your sail, whatever you need, Lila. Just promise me forever." She'd smile, that half-tilted curve that hid 1,000 unspoken fears, and murmur, "Forever's a big word for a girl who's always chasing the horizon." The first proposal came on their 3rd anniversary, a crisp autumn evening when the leaves blazed like embers against the fading sun. Elias had closed the bookstore early, stringing fairy lights along the pier where they'd shared their first kiss. A picnic basket brimmed with her favorites, oysters on the half-shell, champagne chilled in the sea, and a velvet box burning a hole in his pocket. As the waves lapped at their feet, painting her bare toes silver. He dropped to one knee, the ring catching the light like a captured star. It was simple, a sapphire encircled by tiny diamonds, echoing the blue of her eyes. Lila Voss, you've been my siren, my storm, my safe harbor. Marry me. Let's build a life where your adventures are ours, and my heart is always your home. Her breath caught, a gasp that tasted of joy and terror. Tears welled, spilling like rain on her cheeks, but beneath them flickered doubt, a shadow from her past. Lila's childhood had been a wreckage of broken promises. Her father, a fisherman lost to the sea, had left her mother vowing never to tether her heart again. Love clips wings, her mother would say, eyes distant as the horizon. And Lila, with her nomadic spirit, pulling her into his arms, that marriage would chain her to the shore, in sync against the wild pulse of her dreams. Then we'll answer it together, she whispered, cupping his face, her thumbs brushing his stubble. Hand. I love you more than words or waves. Instead, they danced under the lights until dawn. What if I can't be the wife you deserve? Her head on his chest. What if the ocean calls weaving through the salt air? But the ring stayed in its box, a quiet ache in his drawer. Challenges mounted like storm clouds. Lila's latest grant demanded 6 months in the Pacific, studying endangered sea turtles. It's now or never, she pleaded over a crackling video call from a research vessel. Her face pixelated but her exhaustion clear, the dark circles under her eyes, the wind whipping her curls. Elias nodded, throat tight, shelving books with mechanical precision while Willow Bay blurred through tears he wouldn't let fall. Letters became their lifeline, hers filled with sketches of turtles gliding like ancient spirits, his with pressed wildflowers and sonnets scribbled in the margins. Come home to me, he'd write, and let's rewrite our story with rings and vows. She returned in spring, leaner, her skin bronzed by foreign suns, but her heart heavier. That night, on the bookstore's rooftop under a quilt of stars, he tried again. Candles flickered in mason jars, casting golden halos around them, and he'd baked her favorite lemon tarts, their citrus tang mingling with the sea brine. Kneeling once more, the ring glinting like a beacon, he poured out his soul. I've waited oceans for you, Lila. Your fears don't scare me, they make me love you fiercer. Marry me, not to clip your wings, but to soar beside you. Tears streamed down her face, hot and unrelenting, as memories clashed. Her mother's warnings, the lonely ache of empty beds during expeditions, the terror of losing herself in love's gravity. Elias, you're my everything. But what if I break us? What if I'm not built for forever? Her voice cracked, a sob escaping as she collapsed into him, their bodies a tangle of salt and sorrow on the woolen blanket. He held her through the night, whispering stories of couples in his books who triumphed over tempests, his fingers threading through her hair until sleep claimed her. Dawn broke with no answer, only a kiss that tasted of goodbye and longing. Summer brought the deepest trial. Lila's mother fell ill, a sudden stroke that felled her like a rogue wave. Elias was there in an instant, driving through the night to the hospital in the city, his hand steady in Lila's as monitors beeped like accusatory heartbeats. In the sterile waiting room, amid the scent of antiseptic and wilted flowers, Lila broke. See. This is what love does. It pulls you under when you least expect. Her words were a knife, twisting in the quiet hours as she nursed her mother back from the brink. Her own dreams deferred. But Elias didn't falter. He turned the bookstore into a command center, coordinating care packages of herbal teas and audiobooks, reading to Lila's mother in a voice soft as sea foam. One evening, as rain lashed the windows like jealous tears, he found Lila on the beach, knees drawn to her chest, waves gnawing at her resolve. He sat beside her, soaked to the bone, and pulled a small waterproof pouch from his jacket, not the ring this time, but a locket engraved with their constellation. Inside, a tiny photo of them dancing at the festival, forever young. I'm not proposing with words tonight, he said, voice raw over the storm's roar. I'm proposing with this. I choose you, every wild, wandering part. If marriage scares you, we'll call it something else. A pact, a promise, a lifetime of us against the world. But Lila, my love, I want to marry you because you're the poetry I never knew I could write. She turned to him then, rain mingling with tears, her ocean eyes searching his like a lighthouse in fog. The challenges had stripped them bare. Distance, doubt, the fragility of life. But in that vulnerability, truth bloomed. Her hand trembled as she took the locket, fastening it around her neck, the metal cool against her fevered skin. Elias Hart, you stubborn, beautiful fool. You've chased my fears across every sea and shadow. God, yes. Marry me. Let's make forever our greatest adventure. He whooped, a joyous sound swallowed by thunder, pulling her into a kiss that tasted of rain and redemption. They laughed through sobs, bodies pressed close as the storm raged on, but for the first time it felt like theirs, a tempest tamed by love. Their wedding was a Willow Bay dream 6 months later, on that same pier under a harvest moon. Lila in a gown of ivory lace that flowed like waves, Elias in a linen suit the color of driftwood, vows exchanged with the sea as witness. I promise to be your anchor in calms and your sail in storms, he said, voice thick, slipping the sapphire ring onto her finger at last. To love your wild heart, no matter where it leads. She, tears glistening, replied, and I promise to let you in to share my horizons, because with you forever feels like freedom. As they danced into the night, guests scattering petals like stars, Elias whispered against her ear, "Told you we'd get here." Lila smiled, her hand over the swell of new life. Their secret, a tiny heartbeat joining the tide. Love, it turned out, wasn't a chain. It was the current that carried them home. And there you have it, friends, the kind of love that doesn't just survive but sings. If The Lover Who Wants to Marry touched your soul like it did mine, hit that subscribe button for ever more love and join our growing family of romantics. With your support, we'll keep these stories flowing. More tears, more triumphs, more yes moments. Drop a comment. What's your greatest love challenge? Like, share, and let's aim for that 1K together. Until next time, keep loving fiercely. Sweet dreams.